Anna Weeks watched her entire digital existence get deleted at 2:47 a.m., 6 years of exposing cartel money laundering through pension funds. Gone in 90 seconds, and the only text that came through after said, "Seoul, 4 hours. Get on the plane or they'll find you first." No signature. No choice. She landed in a country she'd never been to, got driven 3 hours into coastal darkness, and walked into a concrete fortress that looked like it was built to survive a war. The man who owned it was 30, paralyzed from the waist down, and hadn't blinked once in the 5 minutes she'd been standing in his study. Song Jun Kim, heir to a shipping empire worth more than some countries' GDP. He didn't say hello. He said, "You're here because you know where bodies are buried, and you're too dangerous to kill outright. My family needs someone the old guard will ignore, someone expendable." Anna stayed standing. "And I get what? You stay breathing. You stay hidden. When this is over, you disappear with enough money to never surface again." She looked at his hands. They hadn't moved, not once. The kind of stillness that only comes from very specific medication. "How long have they been poisoning you?" she asked. "If you're already hooked, hit subscribe. Velvet Noir tells the stories that don't let go. Stay with me." Jun's face didn't change, but something behind it recalculated. "What makes you..." "Pinpoint pupils. Waxy skin. No hand tremors despite a spinal injury that should cause them. You're on Proxenol K or something in its family. They don't prescribe that for paralysis." She tilted her head. "They prescribe it to create paralysis. Long enough to keep you signing documents you'll regret." Silence. The mechanical hum of his wheelchair. The sound of rain on glass. Then Jun opened his desk drawer, pulled out a marriage contract, slid it across the black stone surface. "We're getting married tomorrow," he said, voice flat, final. "Welcome to the family, Mrs. Kim." That night, Anna found the vial in the medical supply closet. Clear liquid. Label: Vitamin B. Complex nerve regeneration. She ran the lot number through a database she wasn't supposed to access anymore. Not vitamins. Proxenol K. Restricted to 3 countries. Used for one thing, induced paralysis. If they were chemically keeping him in that chair to control the company. The light above her flickered. The door locked. From the outside, Anna turned, phone in hand, and saw the air vent in the corner. Not circulating air, circulating something else. The room started to taste like metal. Her vision blurred at the edges. And through the door, she heard footsteps. Walking away, Anna Weeks knew she was being erased before the first file disappeared. It was the silence that warned her, the way her work phone stopped buzzing, the way her badge stopped working at the elevator bank, the way the security guard who'd said good morning to her for 3 years suddenly looked through her like she was made of glass. She sat in the hotel room she'd checked into under a dead woman's name and watched her email inbox empty itself. 6 years of forensic audits. Gone. Every paper trail she'd built documenting how Castellano and Moore had been washing Venezuelan cartel money through municipal pension funds, teachers' retirements, firefighters' futures just vanishing into digital smoke. She wasn't surprised. You don't expose your own firm and expect a gold watch. What surprised her was the text that came through at 2:47 a.m. "Your access has been revoked. Do not contact this office. Do not return to the building. Consider this your only warning." That was from the firm, professional, bloodless. The second text came from a number with no country code. "Seoul, JFK, Gate 47. 4 hours. Get on the plane or the people looking for you will find you first." Anna stared at her phone. The cartels didn't send warnings. They sent flowers to your mother's house with your finger in the box. This was something else. Someone else. She had one bag already packed. She'd learned that habit in foster care: always keep a go bag by the door because you never know when you're getting moved in the middle of the night. Didn't matter if you'd been in the house 6 months or 6 years. Didn't matter if the foster mom promised you could stay through graduation. One phone call and you were in the back of a social worker's sedan, watching another temporary home disappear in the rearview mirror. Anna had stopped unpacking by the time she was 12. She deleted both messages, wiped her laptop, left her phone on the nightstand still glowing, and got on the plane. 14 hours later, she landed in a country whose language she didn't speak, in a city that smelled like fish markets and car exhaust and something sharp she couldn't name. The driver who met her at Incheon Airport didn't make eye contact, didn't ask questions, just took her bag and gestured to a black Mercedes that looked like it could survive a missile strike. They drove for 3 hours. The city lights gave way to coastal highway, Then to nothing, just darkness and the occasional flash of white water against black rocks. The house appeared like a threat, concrete and steel cantilevered over the Pacific Ocean, all sharp angles and floor-to-ceiling glass. It looked like the kind of place you went to when you needed to disappear, or when someone needed you to. A woman in medical scrubs met her at the door, didn't introduce herself, just led Anna up a floating staircase to a bedroom that was more hospital than home. White walls, white sheets, white noise machine already humming. There was a surveillance camera in the corner. They didn't bother hiding it. Anna set her bag down and looked out the window. The ocean was black. The sky was black. She couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. At dawn, someone knocked once and opened the door without waiting. "He's ready for you." Anna followed the woman down the hall, through a room filled with servers and medical equipment, to a study that faced the water. The man behind the desk was younger than she expected. Sharp jaw, sharper eyes, black suit that probably cost more than she'd made in a year. Song-Joon Kim, heir to a shipping empire, 30 years old, paralyzed from the waist down. He looked at her like she was a specimen under glass. She looked at him like she was calculating his net worth. Neither of them blinked. June didn't offer her a seat, didn't offer his hand. He just folded his fingers on the black stone desk and waited for her to break. Anna had spent 6 years in rooms with men who thought silence was a weapon. She knew how to wait longer. "You're the forensic auditor who brought down Castellano and Moore," he finally said. His English was perfect, accentless, the kind that came from international boarding schools and Ivy League law degrees. "I'm the one who proved they were laundering cartel money through pension funds," Anna corrected. Bringing them down was just a consequence. "You cost powerful people their freedom. I cost powerful people their money. Prison was just where they ended up." Something almost like interest flickered behind his eyes. "Almost. You're here," he said, "because you know where bodies are buried and you're too dangerous to kill outright. My family needs someone the old guard will ignore. Someone expendable. And I get what in return? You stay breathing. You stay hidden. When this is over, you disappear with enough money to never surface again." Anna looked at him. Really looked. At the way his shoulders held tension despite the paralysis. At the medical alert bracelet barely visible under his cuff. At the hands that hadn't moved once since she'd walked in. "How long have they been poisoning you?" she asked. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. June's face stayed perfectly still, but something behind it recalculated. She watched him decide whether to deny it, dismiss her, or tell her the truth. He chose none of the above. He opened his desk drawer, pulled out a single sheet of paper, slid it across the stone. "We're getting married tomorrow," he said, voice flat. "Final. Welcome to the family, Mrs. Kim." The rest of the day was a blur of lawyers and documents and medical staff who moved through the house like ghosts. No one explained anything. No one asked if she consented. The contract was simple. 1 year of marriage in exchange for protection and money. No physical expectations. No emotional obligations. Just survival. That night, Anna couldn't sleep. The ocean was too loud. The house was too quiet. She walked the halls like a prisoner learning her cell, cataloging exits and cameras and which doors were locked. The medical supply closet wasn't. She found the vial by accident tucked behind boxes of sterile gauze and syringes. Small, clear. Label: Vitamin B complex for nerve regeneration. Anna had audited pharmaceutical companies. She knew what vitamin B complex looked like. This wasn't it. She pulled out her phone, the burner she'd bought at the airport, and ran the lot number through a database she wasn't supposed to have access to anymore. The results loaded slowly. Then all at once. Proxenol K. Restricted to 3 countries for experimental use. Known side effects: progressive muscle atrophy, induced paralysis, cognitive decline if administered long-term. They weren't healing him. They were keeping him broken. Anna stood in the closet, vial in hand, and understood exactly what kind of family she'd married into. The kind that poisoned its own blood to keep power. She should have put the vial back. Should have walked away. Should have remembered that she was here to hide, not to care. But Anna Weeks had never been good at minding her own business. The last time she'd tried that, her foster sister had ended up in the hospital. Broken arm, cigarette burns. The foster dad who did it got away with it because Anna hadn't said anything, hadn't documented anything, had been too afraid of getting moved again. She'd been 14. She'd learned then, if you see something wrong and do nothing, you become part of it. Anna pocketed the vial and walked straight into the trap. The dinner happened 3 days after the wedding. Anna hadn't seen June since she'd signed the papers. He existed somewhere in the house like a ghost. She heard the mechanical hum of his wheelchair in distant hallways, saw lights burning in his study at 3 a.m., but they moved through the fortress like planets in separate orbits, until his aunt summoned them both. The formal dining room was all dark wood and colder intentions. June sat at the head of the table in a different suit. Same expression. His aunt, Park Soo-min, held court at the opposite end, 60 years old, diamond earrings that could fund a small country, smile like a knife blade. Between them sat the vultures, June's cousin Min-ho, the CFO who wore his ambition like cologne, two board members whose names Anna hadn't bothered learning, and June's sister Ji-woo, who was 23 and looked at Anna like she was something scraped off a shoe. No one acknowledged Anna when she entered. She was used to that. Being invisible was a survival skill she'd learned young. In foster homes, at majority white firms, in rooms full of men who couldn't imagine a black woman understanding compound interest, let alone exposing their crimes. She'd weaponized it, let them underestimate her while she documented everything. But this invisibility felt different. Sharper, more deliberate. The staff served course after course dishes Anna didn't recognize, couldn't pronounce, wasn't offered explanation for. The family spoke in rapid Korean, voices rising and falling in what might have been conversation or argument. Anna couldn't tell. She ate in silence, listened, watched. Ji-woo leaned toward the aunt, whispered something. Both women laughed. Their eyes flicked to Anna, then away, like she was a joke that didn't deserve acknowledgement. Anna had heard that laugh before. Different languages, same meaning. Halfway through the meal, Min-ho switched to English. So, Anna, that's American, yes? Like the Disney princess? The table went quiet. Like the forensic auditor, Anna said. Ah, yes, June's new. Investment. Min-ho smiled. Tell me, what does an auditor do exactly? Count things? Make sure the numbers add up? I find where money goes when people don't want it found. Fascinating. He wasn't fascinated. And have you found anything interesting in our family business? June's hand tightened on his fork, the first movement Anna had seen from him all night. I haven't looked, Anna said. No? Min-ho leaned back. How disappointing. I thought you Americans were always so curious. The aunt said something sharp in Korean. Min-ho laughed. Ji-woo smirked. Anna caught two words, gaedwaeji, livestock, and hukin, black. She'd looked up Korean slurs her second day in the house. Better to know what they were calling you than pretend it wasn't happening. Min-ho reached for the wine bottle near Anna. He accidentally knocked it over. Red wine spread across the white tablecloth like arterial blood, pooling near Anna's plate. He looked at her, waiting. The room held its breath. In every foster home, there'd been a moment like this. A test. Spill milk on the new kid's homework. See if she cries. See if she fights back. See if she breaks. Anna had learned not to give them what they wanted. She picked up her water glass, took a drink, and looked directly at Min-ho. The Q3 manifest you presented to the board last month, she said, voice calm. The one showing the Jakarta to Busan route as your most profitable corridor? Min-ho's smile froze. You inflated the tonnage by 40%. Used the ghost cargo to justify pulling liquidity from the Singapore holding company. But you got the container weights wrong. 40-foot containers can't exceed 32 tons under international maritime law. Yours were listed at 45. Anna tilted her head. Just a small error. Easy to miss. Unless you're curious. The silence was absolute. June looked at her for the first time since dinner began. Not through her. At her. Min-ho's face had gone the color of old meat. I don't know what your manifest number CTN 8847JKT, filed September 14th, signed by you. Anna's voice didn't rise. Didn't need to. I'm sure it's nothing. Just numbers that don't add up. The aunt said something in Korean. Sharp, dismissive, but her eyes had sharpened. Anna stood. Excuse me. I'm still adjusting to the time change. She left the dining room without being dismissed. Without looking back. Behind her, she heard the explosion begin in 3 languages. In the hallway, her hands finally started shaking. June wheeled into Anna's room without knocking. The mechanical hum of his chair preceded him like a warning. She stood by the window, watching the Pacific eat the moonlight, still wearing the dress from dinner. She didn't turn around. How did you get the manifest number? His voice was controlled. Barely. I didn't. Anna. She finally looked at him. I made it up. Container law is real. The rest was educated gambling. But judging by your cousin's face, I guessed right. June stared at her. She watched him recalculate everything he thought he knew. You just declared war on my family. Your family declared war on itself the moment they started poisoning you. Anna pulled the vial from her nightstand. Set it on the dresser between them. Proxenol K. Used to induce paralysis. They're not treating your spinal injury. They're creating it. June looked at the vial, then at her. Then he opened a compartment in his wheelchair and pulled out 6 more just like it. Anna felt the ground shift beneath her. I know, June said quietly. I've known for 8 months. Then why? A healthy heir is a target for assassination. A crippled heir is a problem to be managed until he's no longer useful. He picked up one of the vials, held it to the light. They think they're buying time to consolidate power. What they're actually doing is teaching me exactly who to eliminate when I take it back. Anna sat down on the edge of her bed. You're letting them poison you. I'm documenting every dose, every meeting, every decision made while they assume I'm too weak to fight back. His eyes were black and clear. I'm building the case that will destroy them. That's insane. That's survival. June leaned forward. You want to know why you're really here? It's not because you exposed your firm. It's because you're the only person in this house they won't see coming. They look at you and see someone beneath their notice. Someone expendable. Someone too American and too black and too female to possibly be a threat. The words landed like slaps. Anna knew he was right. Had spent her whole life being underestimated for exactly those reasons. But hearing it said out loud, in this concrete fortress on the other side of the world, made something crack open in her chest. And what do you see? She asked. June was quiet for a long moment. Someone who just dismantled my cousin's embezzlement scheme in under 2 minutes without access to a single document. Someone who walked into a room full of people who hate her and chose to be dangerous instead of invisible. He paused. Someone who scares me more than my entire family combined. The rain started. Fat drops against the windows like applause. They're going to come after me now, Anna said. Yes. Your cousin, your aunt, whoever else is in on this. Yes. And you're going to let them. June didn't answer immediately. Instead, he said, My father tried to kill me first. Did you know that? Anna shook her head. I wanted to sell the company, get out, live like a normal person. He said if I tried to leave, he'd make sure I couldn't walk away from the family legacy. He meant it metaphorically. My sister took it literally. June's voice was hollow. Rohypnol in my scotch. She thought if I crashed the car and died, Minho could take over and she'd be set for life. But you didn't die. No. I just became what they needed me to be, damaged enough to be manageable. Alive enough to keep the board from fracturing. He looked at his hands. They've been maintaining the illusion ever since. And I've been documenting how. Anna understood something then. They were the same. Both of them had survived by letting people underestimate them. Both of them had weaponized their own powerlessness. Both of them were tired of pretending. Tell me what you need, she said. June pulled out a laptop, opened a file. I need you to find where Minho is moving the money. I need you to document which board members are complicit. I need you to be exactly what you are, someone who knows where the bodies are buried. And then what? Then we bury them first. Anna looked at the laptop. At the fortress of glass and concrete. At the man who'd chosen to stay broken so he could learn how to destroy the people who'd broken him. One condition, she said. June raised an eyebrow. When this is over, you stop taking the poison. You get real treatment, whatever that looks like. Anna's voice was steady. I didn't survive everything I've survived to watch you kill yourself for revenge. June's expression softened. Just for a moment. Deal. They worked like surgeons. Precise, silent, deadly. Anna spent her days being the perfect ornamental wife present at family dinners. Silent during board meetings. Decorative at charity functions where June's aunt paraded her like evidence of the family's progressive values. Look, we let him marry a black woman. See how modern we are? At the functions, Anna smiled and nodded, while Korean socialites asked where she was really from and whether she spoke any other languages. One woman touched her hair without asking. Another asked if June had met her family yet, voice dripping with the assumption that Anna didn't have one worth meeting. Anna had learned long ago how to swallow rage like medicine. At night, she became something else. She'd sit in June's study while rain hammered the windows and dissect his family's empire piece by piece. Every shell company, Every offshore account, every favor traded and body swept under rugs. June would wheel over spreadsheets, and she would find the patterns, the language of money, which never lied even when everything else did. They didn't talk about the poisoning, didn't talk about the fact that June was getting weaker, that his hands sometimes shook now when he thought she wasn't looking, that the doses were increasing. They talked about numbers, power, survival. It was the closest thing to intimacy Anna had felt in years. "Here," she said one night, 3 weeks into their marriage. She turned her laptop around. Minho's been funneling money through a shell corp in the Caymans, but he got sloppy, used his mistress's birthday as the account password. June leaned forward, their shoulders almost touched. "How did you find the mistress?" She tagged him in an Instagram photo at a hotel in Jeju. 5-star resort. Same weekend he told the board he was visiting the Busan facility. Anna pulled up the photo. "The hotel charges rooms to corporate cards. I cross-referenced the charge date with your company's expense reports." June was quiet for a long moment. Then, "You're terrifying." "I'm thorough." "You're both." The laptop screen illuminated the sharp angles of his face, made him look younger, more human, less like the cold automation he performed for his family. Anna found herself noticing things. The way he drummed his fingers when he was thinking. The way his voice dropped half an octave when he was angry. The way he never asked her to fetch things, always wheeled himself to the shelf, the printer, the coffee maker. "Can I ask you something?" Anna said. "You just destroyed my cousin's entire financial strategy. I think you've earned a question. Do you ever miss it? Walking?" June went still. Nobody had asked him that. Everyone tiptoed around it or ignored it completely. "Every day," he said finally, "but not for the reasons people think. I don't miss running or dancing or any of that Hollywood bullshit about standing on my own 2 feet. He paused. "I miss being able to storm out of a room when I'm angry. I miss being able to get to a bathroom without calculating if there's a ramp. I miss people looking at my face first instead of the chair." Anna understood. "I used to wish I was white." June looked at her. "When I was 14, in my 3rd foster home, the family was nice, really nice. But every time we went out grocery store, church, wherever people would stare, like they were trying to solve a math problem, wondering if I was adopted or if the mom had a secret or what my story was." Anna's throat tightened. "I hated being the thing that didn't fit, the piece that made people look twice. And now I weaponize it, let them stare, let them underestimate. Then I take everything they have." Anna met his eyes. "But some days I still get tired of being the anomaly." June reached across the space between them, let his hand rest near hers on the desk, not touching, almost. "I see you," he said quietly. "Not the novelty, not the auditor, not the wife. You." Anna looked at his hand. At the tremor he couldn't quite hide anymore. She covered it with hers. The contact was electric, grounding, dangerous. Neither of them moved. "I should go," Anna said, not moving. "You should," June agreed, not pulling away. They sat like that, hands touching, for 3 heartbeats. Then the lights went out, not just in the study. The entire house. Emergency systems kicked in with red backup lights that made everything look like a crime scene. June's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen. His face went cold. "They found you," he said. "Your old firm. They traced your IP address to the house." Anna's blood went to ice. "How long do we have?" "They're already here." Through the security camera feed on June's laptop, Anna watched 4 men in reflective vests move through the ground floor with the precision of people who'd done this before. Fire inspectors. Except they weren't inspecting anything. They were mapping exits, checking for witnesses, calculating. June's security had been dismissed that morning. His aunt's orders. "The panic room," June said. "Behind the bookshelf. It locks from inside. You can be in Singapore in 6 hours if you leave now." Anna looked at him. "What about you?" "I'll tell them you ran. That I tried to stop you, but..." He gestured at the chair. "Buy you time. They'll kill you. They'll torture me for information first. I can hold out long enough for you to disappear." Anna pulled out her phone, started typing. "There's another option." "Anna, shut up. I'm thinking." Her fingers flew across the screen, accessing systems she'd built into her firm's infrastructure before she left. Backdoors inside backdoors. "Your family has security. Real security. The kind that makes cleaning crews disappear. Where are they?" "My aunt dismissed them this morning. Said we were cutting costs." Of course she did. Anna pulled up a schematic of the house. The server room, where you keep the company's financial records. How fireproof is it? June went pale. Anna, no. Those are decades of… How? Fireproof. Military grade. Pressurized gas suppression system. It would take… He stopped. Understood. It would take a very specific kind of fire to trigger the emergency response from the Port Authority. How specific? Electrical fire in the junction box on the east wing. Sets off the sprinklers. Sprinklers in the server room trigger the gas system. Gas system triggers automatic calls to fire stations, police, Coast Guard, everyone. Anna was already moving. How long? 4 minutes. Maybe 5. That's cutting it close. Anna. June grabbed her wrist. His hand was shaking. If you do this, you're declaring yourself. They'll know you're not just some expendable trophy. They'll come after you the way they've come after me. She looked at him. Really looked. At the man who'd been poisoned by his own family, who'd chosen to stay in a chair to buy time for revenge, who was offering to let himself be tortured so she could escape. I'm tired of running, she said. She pulled her wrist free, grabbed the laptop. 4 minutes. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it until you hear sirens. Anna made it to the east wing in 90 seconds. The junction box was industrial grade, secured with a fingerprint lock. She didn't have time to hack it. She grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall, used it like a battering ram. Once, twice, the lock cracked. The cleaning crew was on the stairs. She could hear their footsteps, their voices, coming closer. Anna ripped the panel open, grabbed 2 fistfuls of wires, crossed them. The explosion was small but violent. A pop and a hiss, and suddenly the air smelled like burning plastic, and her hands were screaming, and the sprinklers were going off like the world's most aggressive baptism. The server room alarm started wailing. Anna ran, soaking wet, hands burned, ears ringing. 30 seconds later, the gas suppression system kicked in with a sound like a jet engine. And then sirens. Real ones. Coming fast. The cleaning crew scattered. Anna heard them shouting into radios, abandoning the mission because there's no such thing as covert when the Coast Guard is inbound. Anna stumbled back toward the study, hands throbbing, dress ruined, vision blurring at the edges. June opened the door before she could knock. He pulled her inside, locked it, looked at her like she'd just walked off a battlefield. You're insane, he said. You're welcome. Anna sank against the wall, adrenaline crash hitting like a train. June wheeled closer. Let me see your hands. She held them out. The burns weren't terrible. 2nd degree. They'd scar, but she'd live. June's jaw tightened. He pulled the medical kit from his chair's storage compartment, started cleaning the burns with a gentleness that didn't match his face. When I was 16, he said quietly, not looking at her, my father threw me into the pool at a company retreat, said I needed to learn to swim or drown. I almost drowned. One of the security guards pulled me out. His hands were steady on hers. That guard was fired the next day. My father said he'd made me look weak. Anna's chest tightened. I'm telling you this because nobody has ever put themselves in danger for me. Not once. Not until you. June finished bandaging her hands, finally met her eyes. Why? Because you would have done it for me. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Anna's voice cracked. Because I see you too. Not the heir. Not the victim. The person who's been surviving alone for so long he forgot what it's like to have someone stay. June stared at her. Something in his expression broke open. I'm not good at this, he said. At what? Caring. About anything that isn't revenge. His voice dropped to barely audible. But I care about you, and it's terrifying. Anna reached out, cupped his face with her bandaged hands. Good. I'd hate to be terrified alone. The sirens were close now. Voices in the hallway. His aunt shouting in Korean. The fire marshal demanding to know who was in charge. June leaned his forehead against hers. They're going to ask questions. Let them. Anna pulled back, smoothed her wet dress. Became the frightened wife they'd expect to see. I didn't just marry you for protection. I married you because I was tired of being prey. So what are you now? Anna looked at him, at the man who'd weaponized his own weakness, who'd turned being underestimated into an art form, who'd just watched her nearly die and admitted he cared. I'm hunting, she said. The fire investigation took 3 days. The authorities found evidence of forced entry, the cleaning crew's fake credentials, security footage of 4 men who didn't belong. June's aunt blamed Anna. Said she'd brought trouble to their house. Said the American had dangerous enemies. Said she should be sent away for everyone's safety. June said no. It was the first time he'd contradicted his aunt in 2 years. The first time he'd used the voice that reminded everyone he was still the heir, still the CEO, still the man who controlled 40% of the company's shares. His aunt's face went cold, but she backed down. After that, something shifted. June stopped taking all the poison, tapered down slowly, carefully, with a doctor he'd flown in from Singapore who wasn't on his family's payroll. The tremors got worse before they got better. Some days he could barely hold a pen. Other days his speech slurred. Anna sat with him through all of it. She'd work on her laptop while he went through physical therapy in the study. She'd read financial reports out loud when his vision blurred. She'd push his wheelchair to the terrace when the walls felt like they were closing in. They didn't talk about what it meant, didn't put labels on the way she'd started sleeping in his study, curled up on the couch while he worked through the night, didn't acknowledge how his hand always found hers now when they reviewed documents, didn't say the word that was growing between them like something dangerous and alive. 6 weeks after the fire, Jun's doctor confirmed it. The Proxenol K was leaving his system. With real treatment, intensive physical therapy, nerve regeneration protocols, experimental procedures, he might regain some function, maybe enough to stand with assistance, maybe more, maybe not. I don't need to walk, June said that night, staring at the ocean. I need them gone. Anna understood. The walking wasn't the point, the revenge was. Then let's finish it, she said. They spent the next 2 weeks building the case. Every embezzlement, every kickback, every crime the board had committed while thinking June was too weak to fight back. Anna worked 18-hour days, barely ate, barely slept. She was back in forensic auditor mode, the version of herself that had burned down her own firm, that had survived foster care by being smarter than everyone around her, that didn't stop until the job was done. June watched her like she was something he was afraid to lose. You need to rest, he said one night, finding her still at the laptop at 4 a.m. I'm fine, Anna. I said I'm fine. Her voice was sharp, brittle. June wheeled closer. When's the last time you ate? I don't remember. When's the last time you slept? June, I'm destroying yourself. His voice was gentle. And I can't let you do that. Not for me. Anna's hands stopped typing. They tried to kill me. They tried to kill you. They've been poisoning you for 8 months and treating me like I'm some. Her voice cracked. I can't stop. If I stop, I'll remember how scared I am. How alone I've been my entire life. How I don't know what happens after we destroy them. How I don't know if you'll still want me around when you don't need me anymore. June went very still. Anna, look at me. She couldn't. If she looked at him, she'd break. June reached out, turned her chair toward him, took her face in his hands. I will always want you around, he said. Not because I need you, because He stopped, started over. Because you're the first person who ever made me want something other than revenge. Anna's eyes burned. What do you want? This. You. Whatever this is we're building. June's voice was raw. I want to wake up and see you on the couch with your laptop. I want to argue with you about acquisition strategies. I want to watch you eviscerate my family at that gala in 2 weeks, and then I want to figure out what we are when we're not just surviving. What if we don't work? Anna whispered. Without the danger, without the common enemy, then we'll fail together. June pressed his forehead to hers. But I'd rather fail with you than succeed alone. Something broke in Anna. Years of walls, years of running, years of being the girl nobody kept. She kissed him. It was desperate and gentle and terrifying, like standing on the edge of a cliff and choosing to jump. June kissed her back like she was oxygen. They pulled apart, breathing hard. Anna's bandaged hands were shaking. June's eyes were dark and clear and alive. The gala is in 2 weeks, Anna said. 2 weeks, June agreed. We destroy them. Then we figure out what we are. Together. The Founders' Gala happened on a Friday night in November, and Anna wore a dress designed to end bloodlines. Black, architectural, asymmetrical, sharp enough to cut anyone who got too close. She'd had it made by a designer. June had commissioned someone who understood that clothing could be armor. June wore a suit darker than midnight. His wheelchair had been detailed until it looked less like medical equipment and more like a throne. They arrived together, a unified front. The glass pavilion clung to the cliff edge like something defying gravity. Inside, 200 people moved through clouds of expensive perfume and expensive lies. The board, The shareholders. The vultures who'd been waiting for June to die. June's aunt stood at the center, holding court. Minho worked the room, already acting like the future CEO. Jiwoo whispered to a cluster of socialites, probably spreading more rumors about the American wife. Anna felt every eye on her when she entered, felt their judgment, their curiosity, their contempt. She smiled. The dinner was formal. 7 courses, speeches between each. June's aunt toasted the company's resilience in difficult times. Everyone knew what she meant, resilience despite the crippled heir. Minho gave a speech about honoring tradition while embracing innovation. Translation: We're waiting for June to die so I can modernize. The board members smiled, nodded, drank expensive wine and pretended this wasn't a coup. Anna waited. Halfway through the 5th course, she stood. The room went quiet. "Excuse me," Anna said, voice clear and calm. "I know I'm not supposed to speak at these things. I'm just the wife. But June and I made something for everyone. A gift." She pulled a stack of cream-colored envelopes from her clutch. Started walking the perimeter of the room, handing one to each board member, to the aunt, to Minho, to Jiwoo, to every person who'd underestimated her. "What is this?" the aunt asked, voice sharp. "Open it," Anna said. They did. The pavilion filled with the sound of paper tearing, then silence, then gasps, curses, a glass shattering. Inside each envelope was a single sheet of paper. For Minho, evidence of $4.2 million embezzled through the Cayman Shell Corp. Account numbers, dates, his mistress's name. For the aunt, kickbacks from Indonesian contracts. Photos of the Bangkok condo bought under her daughter's name. Wire transfers. For board members, proof of selling company secrets. Emails. NDAs violated. Competitor contracts signed. For Jiwoo, the toxicology report from June's accident. Her signature on the Rohypnol prescription. Security footage of her dosing his drink. Anna stood in the center of the room, dressed like a blade, and let them read their own obituaries. "These are copies," she said. "The originals are with June's lawyer, also with the Financial Supervisory Service, also with the prosecutor's office, also with 3 journalists at the Chosun Ilbo, Hankyoreh, and Korea Times, who've been dying to write about chaebol corruption." The aunt stood, face white. "You have no authority. I have evidence." Anna's voice was steel. "Which is the only authority that matters." Minho lunged at her. June's chair was between them in 2 seconds. "Touch my wife," June said, voice arctic, "and I'll make sure the prosecutor gets the video of you hiring that cleaning crew, the one that tried to kill her, the one you paid for with company funds." Minho went pale. "You've been watching. I've been documenting." June looked around the room at every face that had pitied him, dismissed him, tried to destroy him. "All of you. Every crime, every betrayal. 2 years of watching you try to kill me, discredit me, poison me into irrelevance. I have it all. Then why wait?" the aunt hissed. "Why not destroy us months ago? Because I wanted you all to gather in one room, so you could understand something simultaneously." June's smile could freeze blood. "You don't control this company anymore. I do. And the only reason you're not in handcuffs right now is because I'm giving you a choice." "What choice?" Jiwoo's voice was broken. "Resign. Tonight. Transfer your shares to an independent trust. Disappear quietly." June looked at each of them. "Or I release everything. The files, the recordings, the evidence. And you spend the next decade in prison explaining to your cellmates how you tried to murder a man in a wheelchair." The silence was absolute. Minho stood, face twisted. "You think you've won? You think this is over?" He looked at Anna with pure hatred. "She'll leave you. The moment she realizes you're still a cripple, she'll find someone who can actually—" June moved. Even in the wheelchair, even with the motor, he moved fast. Got between Minho and Anna before his cousin could finish the sentence. "Say one more word about my wife," June said quietly. "And I'll make sure every news outlet in Korea knows about your gambling debts, your drug use, the 17-year-old intern you paid off last year." Minho's face went gray. "That's what I thought." June turned his chair to face the room. "You have until midnight to decide. Resign or burn. Choose." They chose. By 1 a.m., the board had resigned. The aunt had transferred her shares. Minho had boarded a plane to Singapore. Jiwoo had checked herself into a psychiatric facility in Switzerland. But Anna barely registered any of it. because Minho's words kept echoing. She'll leave you. And the look on Jun's face when he'd said them. The dawn after the gala came gray and cold. Anna stood on the terrace watching the ocean try to swallow the sky. Jun was in his study. She'd left him there an hour ago, surrounded by resignation letters and transfer documents and the ashes of his family's empire. He'd won. They'd won. So why did it feel like something was breaking? Anna heard the wheelchair behind her. Didn't turn. You're leaving, Jun said. Not a question. The contract is fulfilled. Threat neutralized. Anna's voice was flat. Time to disappear like you promised. Is that what you want? Does it matter? Anna, your cousin was right. She finally turned. What happens now? You don't need me anymore. You have your company, your revenge, everything you wanted. Everything I wanted. Jun's laugh was broken. Do you know what I wanted 2 years ago? Before the poisoning, before the chair, before this whole nightmare? To get out, to be ordinary, to run a shipping company, and go home to a quiet house, and not calculate whether my own family was trying to kill me. He wheeled closer. I wanted to be the kind of man someone could love. Not use, not pity, love. Anna's throat tightened. Jun, I'm still in this chair, Anna. The treatment worked, but I can't. His voice cracked. Physical therapy helps, but I'll never be the man who can just sweep you off your feet or carry you to bed or any of that romantic bullshit people expect. I don't care about that. You should. Jun pulled something from his jacket. A small black remote. After the gala, I programmed this. It's a medical override. For my pacemaker and vital monitors. Red button shuts everything down, painlessly. Anna stared at it. What are you? I'm giving you a choice. Stay with me with all my limitations, all my damage, all the ways I'll never be enough. Or take this, end it cleanly, take the money and disappear. His hands shook. Because I can't do this halfway. I can't watch you stay out of obligation or pity or leftover adrenaline. I'd rather die than watch you realize you made a mistake. Anna felt something crack open in her chest. All her life, she'd been the one people left. The foster kid who never got adopted. The employee who got erased. The woman men underestimated until they didn't need her anymore. Nobody had ever given her the power to stay. You think I'd kill you? She whispered. I think you'd be justified. I used you, weaponized you, put you in danger. Anna crossed the terrace, took his face in her hands. Shut up. Anna, I said, shut up. Her voice shook. You didn't use me. You gave me a fortress when I was being hunted. You saw me when everyone else looked through me. You handed me a weapon and trusted me to know what to do with it. You made me feel like I was something other than disposable. Tears burned her eyes. You made me feel like I was home. Jun stared at her. I don't care if you never walk again, Anna said. I don't care if you need help or therapy or bad days or whatever. I care that you're brilliant and ruthless, and the only person who's ever looked at me like I was dangerous in a good way. She took the remote from his hand. And if you ever give me this again, I'm throwing it in the ocean. Because I'm not here to end you. I'm here to build something with you. What if it doesn't work? Jun's voice was raw. What if we're just good at surviving together but terrible at actually living? Then we'll fail together. Anna echoed his words from weeks ago. But I'm tired of running. I'm tired of being alone. I'm tired of being the person nobody keeps. She pressed her forehead to his. So I'm staying, and you're stuck with me. Jun's hands came up to grip her wrists. I love you. The words hung in the air like something sacred. I know, Anna whispered. I love you too. Even though you're a dramatic nightmare who just tried to give me a kill switch. Jun laughed. It was broken and real and beautiful. Anna walked to the edge of the terrace, threw the remote as hard as she could into the Pacific. It disappeared without a sound. When she turned back, Jun was crying, silently, the kind of crying that comes from years of holding everything together. Anna went to him, wrapped her arms around his shoulders, let him break. I've got you, she whispered. We've got each other. For the first time in either of their lives, it felt true. 6 months later, Anna woke up to rain and the smell of coffee. The bedroom they shared now overlooked the ocean floor-to-ceiling windows that turned the world into abstract art. Jun was already in his chair by the desk, reading something on his tablet, wearing the ratty Seoul National University shirt he refused to throw away. Anna lay there for a moment, watching him. The way morning light caught the sharp line of his jaw, the way he frowned at whatever he was reading. the way his left hand drummed against the wheelchair's armrest when he was thinking. "You're staring," June said without looking up. "You're interesting. I'm reading a logistics contract." "Still interesting." Anna sat up. "Coffee?" "On your nightstand. Been there 10 minutes. She looked. There it was. Still hot. Exactly how she liked it. Anna had learned this about living with June. He noticed everything. How she took her coffee. That she couldn't sleep without white noise. That she paced when she was thinking through a problem. That she needed to be alone for exactly 20 minutes after difficult conversations, or she'd say something she'd regret. He'd learned her the way she'd learned to read balance sheets methodically, completely, with the kind of attention that bordered on devotion. "The Vietnamese acquisition closed yesterday," June said, finally looking at her. "COO wants to schedule a site visit next month. I'll go." Anna sipped her coffee. "You should come too. Long flight in the chair. You've done longer." "True." June set the tablet down. "We could make it a week. See the facilities. Eat food that isn't cafeteria. Actually sleep in. Sounds suspiciously like a vacation. Sounds like a business trip with optional relaxation." June wheeled closer to the bed. "We're allowed those now, you know. Optional relaxation." Anna smiled. It still felt strange, this new version of their life. The one where they weren't just surviving, where the fortress didn't feel like a cage, where they could talk about week-long trips without checking if assassins might show up. The company had stabilized. June had installed a new board, people chosen for competence instead of family loyalty. The stock price had climbed 30%. Business journals called it the Song Renaissance. June called it finally running a company instead of a crime syndicate. Anna had officially become COO, not just on paper, but in practice. She had an office, a team, business cards that said Anna Weeks Kim in English and Korean. People feared her now, not because she was June's wife, but because she was brilliant and ruthless, and the woman who'd exposed an entire board. But the best part wasn't the title or the fear. It was coming home to this. To June reading logistics contracts in his ratty shirt. To coffee waiting on her nightstand. To someone who knew all her sharp edges and chose her anyway. "Your PT appointment is at 10, Anna said. June made a face. "I could skip it." "You could. But then I'd have to call Dr. Park and tell him you're being difficult. And he'd give me that disappointed look. And then I'd feel guilty. And then you'd feel guilty for making me feel guilty." Anna grinned. "Or you could just go to physical therapy. You're tyrannical. You love it." "Unfortunately." June caught her hand, pulled her toward him. "Come here." Anna slid out of bed. Settled onto his lap sideways, careful of the chair's mechanisms. This was another thing she'd learned: how to hold him, how to be held by him, how to exist in the small space his wheelchair created. June's arms came around her. "Solid. Sure. Home. I have a board meeting at 2, he murmured against her hair. "Minjung wants to pitch expanding into African markets. Smart. Growing middle class. Infrastructure development." Anna traced patterns on his shoulder. "We should look at East Africa. Kenya's logistics sector is exploding." "See? This is why you're the COO. I thought I was the COO because I blackmailed the previous board into resignation." "That too." June pulled back to look at her. "But mostly because you're brilliant, and you make me want to build instead of destroy." Anna's throat tightened. 6 months later, and compliments from him still landed like physical touch. "You're getting soft," she teased. "I prefer evolved." June's hand found hers, interlaced their fingers. "Speaking of which, I have something for you. If it's another surveillance system, it's not." He reached into his chair's storage compartment, pulled out a small envelope. "Open it." Anna did. Inside was a single piece of paper. A property deed. For the fortress, the entire compound. Signed over to her. She stared at it. "June, you said this place felt like home. I wanted to make sure it was legally yours too." His voice was quiet. "You've never had that. A place that was unquestionably, legally yours, that nobody could take away." Anna's vision blurred. She'd grown up in 12 different foster homes, had lived in 15 different apartments as an adult, had spent her whole life knowing that wherever she was could disappear with one phone call, one eviction notice, one change in circumstances. "I can't." "You can. You will." June cupped her face. "This is your home. I'm your home, and nobody gets to take that away. Ever." Anna kissed him. Hard, desperate, grateful. When they broke apart, she was crying. "I love you," she said, "even when you're being dramatic and buying me houses. It's a fortress. Even more dramatic." June laughed. "I'm allowed. I'm rich and in love. It's expected." They sat like that for a long time. Rain against the windows. Ocean crashing below. Two people who'd survived by being underestimated, now building something that looked suspiciously like happiness. Later, after June's PT appointment and Anna's department meeting, they found themselves back in the study. The place where it had all started, where Anna had diagnosed June's poisoning, where they'd plotted the destruction of his family, where they'd fallen in love without admitting it. Anna sat on the desk, still her favorite spot, reviewing quarterly reports. June was in his chair, marking up contracts with red pen. "The board is afraid of you," June said without looking up. "Good." Min Jung asked if you'd ever smile during meetings. "I smiled last week." "That was a grimace. Doesn't count." Anna grinned. "I smile at you. I'm special. Insufferably special." She paused. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if I hadn't gotten on that plane?" June set down his pen. "Every day. And I think I'd have destroyed my family, taken the company, won," he met her eyes, "and been completely alone in a fortress that felt like a tomb. So yes, I think about it. I think about how close I came to winning everything and having nothing." Anna understood. She thought about it too, about what would have happened if she'd ignored the text, if she'd run somewhere else, if she'd stayed invisible and safe and utterly alone. "Do you know what someone once told me?" Anna said. "We're only as strong as the monsters we're willing to love." Shakespeare? Anna Weeks Kim. I'm allowed to quote myself. June smiled. Was I the monster in that scenario? We both were. Anna slid off the desk, went to him, rested her hands on his shoulders, but we decided to be monsters together, which somehow makes us human. Weird how that works. Terrifying how that works. June reached back, covered her hands with his. "They'll come after us again eventually. New enemies, new threats. Let them come." Anna leaned down, pressed her cheek against his. "I've already started documenting their mistakes." The reign continued. The empire continued. The two of them continued not because they were healed, not because they were fixed, but because they'd chosen each other when the world had given them every reason to choose destruction instead. That night, Anna stood behind June's chair on the terrace, hands resting on his shoulders, watching the dark water meet the dark sky. The fortress that was now legally hers stood against the storm, two silhouettes against the glass. Not a fairy tale, not a romance novel, a sovereign state of two, and it felt absolutely, terrifyingly, perfectly right. If you stayed with Anna and June through every betrayal, every revelation, every moment they chose each other over safety, you understand what it means to build something real in the ruins. Subscribe to Velvet Noir to stay inside this world of dark elegance and dangerous love. Until next time, stay hidden.